Welcome to the Her Handmade Hustle Unplugged podcast, the place where we talk about getting businesses seen, remembered and chosen. I'm Joanne Pearce, a visibility specialist and friendly northerner, wife, mum and someone who's built 2 businesses from the ground up on nothing more than a wing and a prayer and sheer determination. I help independent businesses from around the world get found using honest, down-to-earth marketing grounded in real-life business experience. I believe that every business owner has a story to tell, and that story deserves to be at the very heart of their marketing. This podcast is for businesses of all kinds, whether you sell products or services, work locally or globally, are big or small, and you want to be found without relying solely on social media. Expect real stories, honest conversations, a good dose of northern humour, and simple visibility advice that will actually move the needle for your business. Let's go. Have you ever downplayed what you do? Softened your success? Pretended that you are smaller than you are by saying things like, oh, I just run a small business, or I do this in my spare time, it's not my real job. I think we've all done it at some point, haven't we? Hiding in the shadows a bit, not fully revealing exactly who we are, what we do and why. Mainly because we're so bothered about what other people will think of us. So we stay undercover, never really truly putting ourselves and our talents and our skills out there. Well, today we're going to change that. Because if you're really serious about running a business and making a real go of it, you cannot do it undercover, okay? People need to know that you exist. And I'm talking beyond social media. We're talking other ways of getting seen, all right? And the whole of this month of March, I'm focusing on the importance of press and PR when you're a business owner. And I guess it's my theme of the month, if you like. Because press is not just for celebrities. It's not a vanity thing. It's about building up your credibility as a business owner and as a brand. It's about showing your potential customers that other trusted people, perhaps names that they recognise, like popular magazines and newspapers and blogs, think that you are good enough to be featured with them. It creates trust. Even if you think that no one on this earth would be interested in your story or care about what you do, I guarantee you that you are wrong. There is a reason behind why you do what you do that other people are going to want to hear about. You've just got to know how to tell your story. But we can't do it if we're hiding away, staying undercover where it feels safe and manageable and non-judgmental. Because you're never going to get anywhere if you keep doing that. Trust me. Now, this episode today was inspired by my latest binge watch on Netflix, right? It's called Love Undercover. Now, if you've seen it, you'll know it's all about these 5 famous footballers who are trying to find love whilst hiding their true identities, because the idea is they want to make a genuine connection with someone and be chosen for who they are as a person and not their status and their fame or fortune, right? Because these guys, they're mega rich and they can't find a woman to love them for them because, well, they're mega rich. Yeah? What's not to love? Anyway, so they go undercover and they hide everything about themselves on this quest to find their perfect partner, which they all fail at, by the way. I googled all the couples who'd made it to the end when I finished the series and they'd all broken up, surprise, surprise. Anyway, while I was binging this programme, it got me thinking about what going undercover looks like when you're a business owner. And I'm not talking literally going undercover here, sneaking round to spy on your competitors in a wig and dark sunglasses at your local market. No, in business, going undercover is doing things like hiding your prices. Yeah, maybe you're downplaying your success, hiding your ambition, your expertise, your knowledge. Maybe you pretend you're just starting out or you're smaller than you are. I'm sure we've all done it. I did it the other day and I had to tell myself off for it. Now, this wasn't related to business actually, but it was at my local Slimming World group, which I go to every week. So I've lost now 3 stone in the past year, which I'm proud of, right? And I recently reached my target weight, which is huge. It's no easy feat. However, when people were giving me credit and saying how well I'd done each week, you know what I'd say? Oh, I've just lost a couple of pounds this week, it's no big deal. I played it small. I mean, really, I had every right to say, thank you. I bloody have done well, and I am so proud of myself because those couple of pounds every week have led to my 3 stone loss. But I downplay it because that's what we do, isn't it? We're not good at talking about our own success and letting other people see how well we've done. Why? Because we're usually scared of being judged. People saying, oh, she's a right cocky cow, I hope she puts it all back on again. Or maybe in a business sense, she's always talking about how busy she is, that she's got a wait list, how many orders and everything that she's got. Oh, God, she's so annoying. Well, if people are saying those things, then who cares? Like Taylor Swift sings, the haters are gonna hate, yeah? You got to shake it off because you can't build a visible business while being undercover. The truth is, we all want to be chosen for the right reasons, like the footballers. But there are parts of ourselves that we are hiding, particularly if you're at the beginning of your business journey. Now, I'm going to tell you a story here, and it's something that happened to me when I was in my early 20s. So I had my own little Love Undercover show going on. So one Saturday evening, on my usual night out in Manchester with my best friend at the time, I met a guy. In fact, we met one each because they were also friends on a night out. So I got his name, I got his number, didn't think much of it. And I remember the next day, Sunday morning, I was telling my dad that I'd met this guy, who shall remain anonymous. And my dad just looked at me after I said his name and he went, hang on a minute, the footballer. So I looked at him and I thought, I don't think so. Anyway, I Googled him. And lo and behold, there he was, in all his glory, fully dressed in the football kit for the team that he played for, at the top of my Google search. Like, my dad was beside himself, you can imagine, can't you? Thinking, right, this was it, his daughter, she was going to marry a famous footballer, and he'd finally be rich. He'd own his 15 cars he's always dreamed of, and then he could have all the designer watches he could ever hope for. I mean, obviously, it didn't quite work out that way, as you might have already guessed. But for a short time, in my 20s, it was possible. Except this guy, he didn't tell me who he was. Similar to the guys on the programme, Love Undercover. And I didn't let on that I knew. Now, obviously, the relationship was doomed to fail. It was all lies from the beginning. However, I went along with it because I thought, he obviously likes that I didn't appear to know who he was. It was kind of fun. I enjoyed being undercover on this operation, right? I mean, it had its challenging moments, don't get me wrong, like when we went to the cinema on our second day and he made me pay for the tickets, the popcorn, and the drinks. And I remember the bill came to something like £28, and I was just a poor student at the time. So that was a decent amount of money for me. That was a hefty chunk of my weekly allowance of my food shop. And I remember struggling to pay for it. And inside, I'm absolutely fuming because I knew he was on 70 grand a week. A week! I had to bite my tongue that night, believe me. And I was thinking inside, you tight bastard. Like, seriously, you are actually taking the piss here. Like, you're going to let a student pay for the second date when the kind of money that you're on. Anyway, I went along with it. Didn't want to ruin my chances of becoming the next Posh and Bex. Another challenging moment was when he used to pick me up from my parents' house in his £100,000 car or whatever. My dad would practically be hanging out of the window to try and get a glance at him because he never knocked on for me. He always just got a text to say, hey, I'm outside. He's keeping his identity undercover, as he probably knew that my dad would recognise him. Anyway, needless to say, I did not become the next Victoria Beckham. And unfortunately, my dreams of becoming a wag came crashing down when I accidentally sent him a text after a few too many rum and cokes. and I called him by his infamous footballer nickname, something that he was called on the pitch, and I never heard from him again. Whoops. But how many of us are pretending not to be who we are in business? I'm calling us the undercover entrepreneurs, right? And women are especially guilty of this. Do you know how many people I work with who have either had their own business or are starting one, and maybe they're in the idea stage, and they completely downplay what they do when they talk to me? Oh, I'm just a small business. I just do a bit of, oh, it's only little. I'm not really an expert. I've only just qualified. Oh, that word just. Yeah, we hide behind it all the time. It just seems to soften everything, doesn't it? Oh, I'm just sending you this email to see if you've managed to send payment over for your order yet. Oh, I'm just wondering if you've had any thoughts on the information I sent you the other day on my services. Just. It's like the word that you use when you're hiding from something. You know, getting paid for a product or a service that you have provided. Wanting a reply from someone who you had a meeting with to let you know if they're interested or not. You don't need to be undercover. It's not unreasonable to ask for payment if you fulfilled an order or provided a service. Yet we feel if we include that word just, it kind of softens the message a little. Yeah, it keeps us safe and there's less risk of being called a pushy bitch or whatever. Yeah, I did it the other day. We had a meeting with someone, right? And he left positive, wanting to arrange another meeting. And I didn't hear from him for a few days. So what did I do? I sent him a message that said, and I'm just going to get my phone now and read it out exactly what I put to him. Okay, here we go. It says, "Oh, hi, name. I'm just scheduling my diary for next week and wondered if you'd still like to book in." Just. There's that word again. I'm just scheduling my diary. What I should have said on the text is, "I'm scheduling my diary for next week and would like to know if you still want a meeting." That's it. I actually asked my husband Dave for what he would have texted this person, right? If he was me. And he said to me, this is what I would have said, Joanne. "Hi, name. Let me know ASAP if you want to meet next week. Cheers, Dave." Simple. Yeah, men are way better at this shit, aren't they? But they rarely use the word just. Now, there are different types of undercover entrepreneurs, and I'm going to tell you what they are and see if you can identify yourself as any of them. All right, so first of all, we've got the one that I like to call the just a hobby founder. You know, that person who gets told, "Oh, you're so good at this," and they reply, "Oh, it's just a hobby," when actually it's their dream. Yeah, and they are making money from it. And they might even be making a real impact. Like maybe they've got their things stocked in a shop they've always wanted, or people are booking on their courses, or they've developed a service that has really helped people. Yet they are still minimizing it. Oh, it's just a hobby, something I do in my spare time. Then you've got the accidental expert. You know, the person who's got, what, 10 years of experience and still says that they aren't really qualified. Now, this was me with my stationery business. 15 years later, people asking me if I had a qualification in design. You know, not customers, just people that I would tell I had my own business to. It was a stationery company. They'd say, "Oh, wow, you know, what did you do at university?" And when I say psychology, they just look at me a little bit blank. It's like, "Oh, did you not do art?" I said, "No, don't even have an art GCSE." In fact, I would actually say to them, "Well, no, I'm not really qualified. I'm just," there's that word again, "I'm just self-taught." 15 years doing a job is qualified, design degree or not. If you've got a kid that you've managed to keep alive for 15 years, are you not a qualified parent? You know, I think that's proof alone that you know what you're doing. You don't need a piece of paper to say that you're an expert. Remember, if you know 10% more than the person next to you about a subject, you're considered an expert. I read that somewhere, can't remember where, but it's true. Oh, and then we have my favourite kind of undercover entrepreneur, right? The price hider. Now, this one is belter. So they never list their prices. because they're afraid of judgment, most likely. Always talking about what they offer, but then following it with message me for details. You can't run a business like that. Hiding the key information that people need when making the decision to work with you or not. So the price hider, they're not usually confident at all in the value of what they're offering. And they often feel guilty when they tell people how much they charge for something. And that used to be me as well. Not anymore. Because you ain't going to make any money if you're too scared to say what you charge. But I guess the real question here is why? Why do we go undercover in business? Because it's not going to help us succeed. And I mean, really succeed. Well, I think there's a few reasons why people are hiding in their role as a business owner. And I think the biggest one is fear of rejection. It's the main one. Because we think if we don't completely reveal ourselves, then we can't get rejected. If we don't tell our story or share who we really are fully, then we won't have to deal with someone turning us down, telling us that we're too expensive, that we're not the right person to help them. And that stings, doesn't it? Not being the chosen one. We all want to be chosen. But that's going to happen because we aren't for everybody. But if you truly commit to putting yourself out there and you stop playing undercover entrepreneur, I guarantee you that the amount of people who say yes to you will be way more than those who say no. Because you'll start attracting the right people, those who match your energy and those who want what you offer because they like you. Another reason why you might be hiding in your role of business owner is that you're scared of being too much. What if you annoy people? What if they get sick of seeing you? Who cares? I went to my local market hall the other day to restock some of my flyers because someone that I know had called me and said I was running low. So I thought, right, let's get some more there. And I took a stack of them. And when I was putting them out, I could see the flyers from all the other local businesses, right? Ones that I'd seen a million times all over the town that I live in, everywhere I go. The same people, the same businesses, popping up on notice boards where I get my coffee from, on the counter of the shops that I buy my day-to-day essentials, in the local library, everywhere. They don't give a shit that their faces are all over the place. And as a result, they're getting known. They're getting found. And most importantly, they're getting chosen. Because people are picking up their flyers and they are getting the business. And flyers are a really good one because they do all the work for you. So you don't have to be there handing them out. Just get some flyers out there and sod off. That's what I do. It's much easier and it removes that worry of feeling like you're too much. And then this ties into the fear of being likable, doesn't it? We all want to be liked. It's natural. And when we're not liked, it's just not a great feeling, is it? So we're tempted to just stay in the shadows. It's easier, it's safer, but it isn't how you're going to make any money, I'm afraid. Which leads me to the fact that a lot of people are staying undercover in their business because they're scared of making money. Now, yeah, honestly, this is true because once people pay us, we have to deliver, don't we? Like, you can't let them down. You have to do a good job because someone has actually parted with some hard-earned cash and put their trust in you. And that's scary, I know. When people used to pay me like hundreds of pounds to do their wedding stationery, it was terrifying at first. Like, you'd chase the order, you'd put everything into getting the job, convincing them that you were the right person to create items for the most memorable day of their life. And then they turn around and go, okay, then let's do it. And then you shit yourself. They pay like £1,000 into your account. And then you're like, shit, I have got to do this now. There's no backing out. And of course, we want to make money from our business, but it's also really scary, isn't it? Because it's usually just you and only you responsible for delivering on that promise. So sometimes we actually hide away from making money and maybe don't put ourselves forward for the job as much as we should. And then what if we actually start doing well, making some decent money? Are we going to get judged for that too? It's funny because a few years ago, my dad bought me a private number plate for my car, right? And it was like a play on words of my business vintage tree. And I think he paid about £400 for it. So it wasn't cheap, but personalised number plates can be thousands of pounds, can't they? And, when I put those number plates on my car and I started driving around with them, people began to make comments, judging me. I had a neighbour who said to me as she was passing one day, "Oh, you must be doing well, personalised number plate, eh?" Nosy cow. Honestly, little did she know that actually, at that time, I wasn't doing very well at all. I'd actually been shut for quite a while because my mum was going through some horrendous chemo and I just wasn't able to work much. I was in my overdraft. I was scared for the future of my business, knowing that I was preparing for a life without my mum. The number plate was not a sign of my success. And so what if it was? If that's how I chose to show it to myself, then that's my business. But actually, the number plate was a gift from my mum and dad to give me a little boost and some encouragement to stay committed to the business that I'd worked so hard to build up and not give up on it because my mum couldn't be a part of it anymore. But people judge. It's inevitable. But that's on them. You can't let it stop you from getting yourself out there and really making a success of your business. We've got to stop hiding, stop softening our ambition. Now I have absolutely no problem saying, you know what, this time in 3 years, I want to be earning 50 to £60,000 a year. I deserve that. That's my goal. We've got to drop this tension between wanting to grow but seeking approval all the time. Let it go. Just go all in and do it. Because we often say that we want to be chosen, but we don't always let people see exactly who they are choosing, do we? So back to Love Undercover, right? At the end, there is a great reveal. So the footballers have to tell the women that they've been dating who they really are. And it's really funny. Because of course they fall even more deeply in love with these men. But what does this look like in business? What does stepping out from being undercover really look like when you run a business? Well, the great reveal looks like this, okay? It's raising your prices for a start, or at least being transparent about them. Me? I started sending people my prices before we organise a call because I've got to make sure that it aligns with their expectations. So my monthly marketing support starts from £300 a month. If you need help with press and PR, my press kit starts from £120. Need a newsletter? £75 a month. Revealing your prices is the first step in coming out from the undercover operation that you've been running. Change your title, right? This is a big one from stepping out from being undercover. Own your niche, right? Have you just qualified in teaching yoga, but your Instagram bio still says that you run yoga classes in your local area? Yeah, change it. Instead of saying that, it needs to say, I am a fully qualified yoga teacher offering a variety of classes for all fitness levels. Or I'm specialising in pregnancy yoga, kids yoga, whatever. You think you just make candles? Change your title. You specialise in creating eco-friendly luxury home fragrances that are kind to the planet. Do you sew? Make clothes? Have you been doing it all your life? Yeah, in that case, you are an experienced seamstress offering a friendly, bespoke tailoring and alteration service to your local area. You don't just sew, you have a skill, and one that's dying out as well. Yeah, that's going to benefit lots of people who are looking for someone who can do this for them. Own it. Don't be afraid. You can also come out and say, you know what? I'm not for everyone, and that's okay. Loads of people don't choose me. But luckily, lots of people do as well. And I'm okay with that now because you don't need everyone. You only need a handful of people who love what you do, or at least when you're starting out anyway, and then it snowballs from there. Because yes, people disappear. Footballers ghost you. Yeah, but the right people lean in, the right clients and customers respect you being clear and transparent with them. And then you find your position and where you fit in the market, and the confidence comes. It helps you find your ideal people much easier, and the ultimate goal, they find you instead. So I'm going to set you a challenge now this week. I want you to look at yourself and your business, like really look at them and ask yourself these following questions, okay? Get a pen and a notepad if you can, right? Where are you downplaying yourself? What are you pretending is small right now? What are you hiding because it feels safer? What would the fully revealed you post out there this week? And how this might look in real life, things that you can do practically, all right? You can put your prices on your website, make them clear. Stop saying just in your emails and your messages, in your content. Stop it, okay? Change your bio on social media to something bolder. Be really bold and clear and confident about who you are and what you offer. Share a recent win without apologising. You know, I let it slip to that footballer who I dated that. I knew who he was. Yeah, and it ended. But in business, you want people to know who you are because you can't build a business undercover and expect people to fall in love with it. It just doesn't happen. Now, I'm going to tell you a funny story to end this episode, and it ties in, sort of, with this theme of being undercover, albeit it's a bit of a stretch, but it's pretty funny, and I think it'll leave you with a good belly laugh, if nothing else, right? Dave, my husband's going to kill me for this one. So, a couple of weeks ago, we went away for a night as a family to a lovely Yorkshire town for a fabulous afternoon tea experience in a famous tea room here in the UK called Betty's. It's amazing. Most delicious scones and cakes and everything that you could dream of if you are a fan of afternoon tea, and that's me. Anyway, we had some time to kill before our booking. So we nipped into a coffee shop just around the corner for a brew, you know, to get in from the cold. It was a freezing cold day. And we weren't far off finishing said brew before Dave announces that he needs a toilet. So he gets up and off he goes, which is like standard wherever we go, always a toilet involved. Now, he'd not been gone a minute before he comes back, all flustered, going, "Oh, couldn't get in that toilet. I thought it was like the main door to lots of cubicles. You know, it turns out it was just the one toilet. So I was trying to get in, and I just said, like really loudly, 'Why is this bog locked?' And then this angry old man on the other side shouts back, 'Because I'm bloody in it.' So obviously, I was like, oh my God, that's so embarrassing. I was like, you need to hide because he'll be coming back into the room shortly and it'll be obvious that it was you who'd said that when you get straight up and head to the toilet after him. So he was like, right, yeah, okay. I'll go and hover around the cafe and then I'll sneak in when he comes out. So I was like, right, okay, good plan. So off he goes. In the meantime, the old man comes out of the toilet and he heads straight in my direction. And he sits down at the table next to me and Eden, declaring to his friends who were sat at the table, strangest thing has just happened to me. I'm on the toilet and this random guy starts banging on the door shouting, 'Why is this bog locked?' And I shout back, 'Because I'm bloody in it.' And I'm sat there, wife of this random guy, thinking, oh my God, I best make myself known here because Dave's going to come back to the table in a minute and the guy's going to recognise his loud northern accent and then be even more embarrassed because he's just been slagging him off while I'm sat next door. I thought, oh God. So here we go. Turned round and I said to him, 'I'm so sorry.' So that was actually my husband. And then he just burst out laughing and he said, 'Don't worry, it was absolutely hilarious. It's like the funniest thing that's happened to me in ages.' Anyway, so we started chatting, and as we were talking, my phone starts ringing. It was Dave. And I picked it up and I was like, 'You all right? Like, why are you ringing me if you're in the toilet?' Silence. Like, 'Dave, you okay?' And he just replies, 'There's no bloody bog roll in here.' I mean, you couldn't write it, could you? So then I had to explain to this guy and half the coffee shop who was listening at this point that my husband was in the toilet now, but he had no toilet roll. I had to dash off and rescue him. I mean, by this point, this old man was absolutely pissing himself laughing. So off I go downstairs to find a member of staff who was also pissing herself laughing when I told her the situation. And she took me off to the store cupboard, got me a huge industrial sized roll of toilet paper, which I had to lug back upstairs to deliver to Dave because she was serving coffees. And even worse, I get there and there's now a bloody queue outside the toilet door. I had to ask them to step back, close their eyes, hold their nose, whatever, while I tapped on the door, handed Dave the toilet roll. I mean, it was a sight that is forever etched in my brain. Dave in this tiny toilet, pants around his ankles, looking absolutely mortified as I handed him this toilet roll through the door. Needless to say, if we ever go back there, we will all be fully undercover, head to toe in disguise, because that is the only way I'm ever stepping foot in that cafe again. And in that case, it's more than okay to pretend to be someone else in those circumstances. So there you have it, okay? Embarrassing story of the month. But if this episode has hit home with you in any way, or if you know someone who needs a good laugh, poor Dave, please do share it with them. And while I've got you, have you seen that I am doing a webinar this month? I know, I must have lost the plot. But I'm going to be sharing some tips on how to get your business seen beyond social media. So if you're sick of posting and creating content that isn't giving you anything back, the good news is there is so much more that you can and should be doing to get your business seen. We're going to be talking about Google and what you can do to make sure you come up in those all important searches, and some small, simple tweaks that make a big difference to your online visibility. So it's on Tuesday, the 24th of March, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. UK time. Now, you are welcome to come along no matter whereabouts in the world you are. So just make sure that you check the time difference beforehand. Okay, it's £10 and you can book your space on my website. The link will be in the show notes, or head to herhandmadehustle.co.uk and you'll see it right there at the top on the announcement bar. I've got limited online spaces only, and that is just so that it allows me to be able to interact, to answer any questions that people have, to really get involved in the session and make sure that I'm giving you as much as I possibly can in the 45 minutes that I have to run the webinar. So that is all for today. Don't forget to drop me an email if you are an undercover entrepreneur and you need some help getting yourself seen. I'll do it for you. Leave it to me. All right. Thank you so much for listening. I'll be back next time with another episode of the Her Handmade Hustle Unplugged podcast. Bye for now. If today's episode has made you realise that visibility might be about more than just posting and hoping for the best, you are not alone. This is exactly the kind of thing I help independent businesses with, getting clearer on their story, their services, and how they actually show up online, especially on Google. If you want support that's honest, simple, and rooted in real-life business experience, I'm here. Visit my website, herhandmadehustle.co.uk, to see how we could work together. And if this episode helped you, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And don't forget to share it with someone else today who you think would enjoy it too. Thank you, and see you next time. It's nice being out for lunch together, isn't it?
Right. Yeah.
So, right, just to let you know, podcast is due out this week, and kind of might have mentioned what happened to you.
What?
In Harrogate on the toilet.
Oh, you're joking.
When I had to go and get you the toilet roll because you ran out.
Yeah.
That was so funny.
You'll never guess what. This will get you this one. This will absolutely get you.
What?
Well, when you came in,
Oh, Jesus.
you gave me a toilet roll.
Yes.
Embarrassing. But, like, after all that, after all the carnage in the cafe, once I'd done, turned around, so I looked over on the chocolate bag.
You are joking me.
No.
What?
No. I didn't want to tell you because I was embarrassed.
Oh my God. Well, you're on the podcast this week, so I've humiliated you, so it's backfired, isn't it?
Right, yeah. Well, literally did backfire.